We're ready to go. I'll declare the meeting open at 12:30. This council meeting is being recorded and live streamed via council's YouTube channel. The recording will also be made available on council's website. Whilst all care is being taken to ensure your privacy is maintained, please be aware that your presence may be recorded. Yes. Could we all stand for the affirmation, please? We recognise the traditional owners of the land. We are inspired by the early pioneers and by those who gave their lives for our country. We now ask God's blessing on our deliberations and on our commitment to build a better lifestyle and environment. Please be seated. Do we have any apologies?
Yes, Mr Mayor. Lauren Dempsey has sent through her apology.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder for that?
Happy to second that.
Thank you. All in favour? Carried. Confirmation of the minutes. Could I have a mover for the confirmation of the minutes from the 8th of April? Councillor Emerson.
Yes, Mr Mayor, they appear to be an accurate record.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. May I have a seconder?
Happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Irwin. All in favour? Carried. There are no matters arising from the minutes. Any presentations and awards? No. Presentation of petitions or joint letters? Nil. Do I have any disclosures of a conflict of interest? No. Informal meetings of councillors. Any informal meetings of councillors to report? No. Did we have two, did we? I noticed we've had two informal meetings. Can I have a mover, please, for those meetings to be approved?
Happy to move, Mr Mayor.
Could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. All in favour? Carried. Any items brought forward? No. All right, 9.1.1, which is the Memorial Park Master Plan. Could I please have a mover?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Thank you.
I'd like to move option 1, that the Council acknowledges and endorses the Memorial Park Master Plan as a record of community aspiration for the park, and confirm that this plan will go through the Council's 10-year capital planning process to monitor delivery of the plan. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a seconder?
Happy to second, Mr Mayor. Should acknowledge that it is Great Western's Memorial Park Master Plan.
Yep. Thank you, Councillor. Would the mover like to speak? Councillor Grady.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I've been involved in a lot of the talks about the plan for the last 3.5 years I've been in council. The community really backs this plan to go ahead. They put a lot of time and effort into it to get it to where it is, and it'll be great to see it go forward over the next coming years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Irwin.
Yes, as Councillor Grady said, the community has put a lot into this, and it is a very nice little park, regularly visited by visitors that travel through Great Western, and we only the other day were there at Anzac Day, and they have their service there. So, very nice little park, but these are the aspirations that the community want down there, and happy to second the endorsement.
Thank you, Councillor. Would any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Grady, would you like to sum up?
Nothing further to add, Mr Mayor, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll put that motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 9.1.2, which is the Sport and Recreation Strategy endorsement. Could I have a mover, please?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The motion or the recommendation is that the Council endorses the Sport and Active Recreation Strategy.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder?
Happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. Councillor Ostachovic.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The Active Sport and Recreation Strategy has been developed over a number of months with some extensive communications with various groups. Certainly from the Carra ward, we have seen a fairly wide discussion carried out amongst all the sporting clubs. The consultant was able to produce a report that addressed the issues that were raised and recognised that we, Northern Grampians Shire Council, are pretty well blessed with the facilities that we do have. It's a matter of working around the edges now, with Lord Nelson Park at 4.2 million and regardless of the numbers, North Park and Central Park, the female change facilities and the like, Great Western Navarre, we've got a wealth of sporting facilities. Now it's a matter of making sure that this strategy moves across the clubs and to the population to enable them to actively pursue various recreational pursuits in these magnificent facilities. So I commend the report and the strategy, and certainly leave it in the officer's hands to deliver. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Emerson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I don't think there's anything further I need to say, and I commend Councillor Ostachovic for putting the motion very well.
Thank you so much. Would any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Irwin.
Just quickly, it does pick up on emerging sports as well, and as Councillor Ostachovic said, we have some wonderful facilities. Not quite completed, some of them yet, but they're on their way, and it really gives some focal points for community sport, but certainly aware of other sports emerging.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ostachovic, would you like to sum up?
Only to the extent that council officers will be available to various sporting clubs and to assist them in participating in sport and recreational activities across the Shire. I'm certain that now that we're sort of through the back end of COVID and people are now starting to emerge from their holes, which are basically their homes, to actively participate in sports, it's an appropriate time to start doing that, and I think we've got the tools now in place to be able to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. All right, any other councillor? No, I'll pass that part, aren't I? I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Right, 9.1.3, which is Open Space and Active Transport Strategy Endorsement. Could I have a mover, please?
The motion put is that Council endorses the Open Space and Active Transport Strategy.
May I have a seconder?
Happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Irwin. All right, Councillor Ostachovic.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This document, this report, this strategy or this action plan addresses the opportunities that exist within our Shire for open access to transport corridors for bike and for walking and the like. Both activities will have health benefits and outcomes that our community do need and aspire to. Again, we are very blessed in this Shire to have an array of assets that we can use for these activities. However, this strategy does enable the expansion of certainly bike tracks and the like, and certainly some of our community members have applied for funding to do exactly that, and that this strategy will enable access to our open spaces for those sort of activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Irwin.
Summed up very well by Councillor Starcevic, but just like to add that it did go out to the community and there were 250 responses in the first time round, and the draft report went out to the community and there were 12 responses after that. So generally most people were fairly happy with that report. So as Councillor Starcevic said, there's leaves room for expansion of bike tracks when we can afford, and there's a couple already on the drawing board, so it'll be interesting to see that, and I know they get used, so it's not something that'll end up with spider webs hanging around it. So it's a good strategy, and obviously people have felt very happy with this strategy, and I think it goes well for the future.
Thank you, Councillor Irwin. Would any other councillor wish to speak? I'll get the mover to sum up then, please. Councillor Starcevic.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, one of the aspects of this is an integrated approach so that our infrastructure team are able to work in with the open spaces to provide for footpaths as necessary to allow for people to use the spaces more effectively without necessarily turning ankles and the like. So I'm sure our council officers will ensure that that happens. But this thing is not just in isolation. It is across the activities of the Shire, of the council, and does incorporate a lot of the activities from our infrastructure team, our community safety team, etc., etc. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll put that motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. The next one is 9.1.4, which is the appointment of St Arnaud Recreation Advisory Group. Could I please have a motion?
I'm happy to move the recommendation that Council A appoints the following people or their proxy to the St Arnaud Recreation Advisory Group: Charlene Bertali, Kim Bethisel, Nicole Amos, Jason Smith, Kate Boyd, Tom Hamilton, Peter Knights, Jackie Peacock, Tara Lowe, Annette Driscoll, and B, approves the reviewed terms of reference.
Thank you, Councillor. Could I have a seconder, please?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I second.
Thank you, Councillor Starcevic. Councillor Heslop.
So, by reviewing the terms of reference, we're actually enabling the group to increase from 9 to 10. So we had 10 people put their hand up to say that they wanted to be part of the St Arnaud Recreation Advisory Group. And I think if those 10 people put their hand up and are willing to commit to the volunteer committee and dedicate their time, I think, you know, we should accommodate them and allow the terms of reference to increase from 9 to 10, because I think, you know, a lot of times committees struggle to get people to nominate, and we've got more than we wanted. So, but that's perfect. It's just enables a lot more input and a lot more debating, if that's the way that the committee goes, and just a lot more people to put their points forward. So I think it's very, very exciting. So happy to adopt the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Heslop. Councillor Starcevic.
Yes, I concur with my colleague. The interesting part is that the terms of reference were really heavily focused on the new facilities at Lord Nelson Park and King George Park. The two new members are Tom Hamilton and Jackie Peacock, both tremendous additions to the committee. The terms of reference is broader now because it does incorporate recreational activities across our end of the Shire, the Carra ward, and the group that we've got on the committee is fairly extensive. It's diverse, and we've got some historical perspective there. We've got lots of corporate knowledge, I guess is the best way to put it. Plus we have new people coming on board, and Jackie was recently involved with submission of a funding application for cycleways, bikeways for mountain biking around the Carra ward around St Arnaud. and also actively involved in the pump track for the youth. So she's got a good set of credentials to come into this committee as well. So I'm looking forward to our first meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ostasevic. Would any other councillor wish to speak? All right, Councillor Heslop, would you like to sum up?
Nothing further to add.
Thank you. I'll put this motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. 9.1.5 was the appointment of Stawell Recreational Advisory Group. Could I have a mover, please?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'm happy to move that Council appoints the following people or their proxy to the Stawell Recreation Advisory Group. Reg Smith, Stawell CFA, Ian O'Donnell, CKS Swifts Football Netball Club, Stephen Walker, Stawell Football Netball Club, Robert Lembo, Stawell Pioneers Soccer Club, Jesse Newton, Stawell Interchange Netball Association, Brian Barber, Stawell Athletic Club, Drew Christian, Stawell Amateur Athletic Club, Mark Brilliant, Grampians Cricket Association, Malcolm Ragger, Stawell Tennis Club, and Richard Hackwell from the community. And B, approves the reviewed terms of reference.
Thank you, Councillor. Could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Irwin. Councillor Emerson.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I think the discussion is similar to the last motion in regard to the St Recreation Advisory Group. Very pleasing, of course, to have more nominations for these community groups than what the policies allow. But Council have decided that they're better off increasing the numbers than having to select other people, so they've increased the number to 10. Just a little bit disappointing that we didn't have very much female interest in those positions. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you so much, Councillor Irwin.
Nothing further, Mr Mayor.
All right, would any other councillor wish to speak? All right, Councillor Emerson, would you like to sum up?
Nothing further, Mr Mayor.
Thank you so much. I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? Against? That's carried. (9.1.6), which is the Integrated Early Years Project Update. Could I have a motion, please?
I'll have to read this one. It's a fairly long motion.
Thank you, Councillor.
The recommendation or the motion is that the Council endorses the St Arnaud Primary School North site, option 1A, as outlined in the report as the preferred location for the Victorian Government's Best Start, Best Life modular building location subject to the following conditions. Prior to construction, the Victorian School Building Authority and Department of Education, A, gain Council endorsement of a traffic management plan to support the pre-prep and future early learning service centre, co-located on Lot 5, Council administered, and Lot 6, Department of Education administered. B, obtain formal consent from the St Arnaud Primary School for a future expansion of an early learning centre into the school site, Lot 7, Crown Department of Education administered. Should additional land be required beyond the Crown land managed by Council, Lot 5, Council administered, and Lot 6, Department of Education administered. C, continue to work with Council to advise on the orientation and amenities of the Best Start, Best Life modular building to minimise the need to retrofit any works to accommodate a future early learning centre building. And D, permits Council to provide additional early years services within the pre-prep modulars should positions not be filled for pre-prep. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Could I have a seconder?
I'm happy to second that recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Heslop. Councillor Ostasevic.
That was a quick one. We've had some very useful conversations with Community Reference Group, some of whom are here today. So thank you for your input into that discussion. There were a number of sites that were identified. The interesting aspect of some of those sites is that some of them fell away. The CFA advised us of the memorial track, and therefore that came off the list. The native title implications for the stadium caused it to have an asterisk against it and access for it. Similarly, the site behind the swimming pool was just far too steep, and if we're going to grow mountain goats, then that would be an appropriate location, but it is an early learning centre for kids, although they do climb, so go figure. And then we had the south side of the primary school, which posed some challenges for traffic. So in the end, it was the north site that was selected. The Early Learning Centre is to be positioned within the existing car park area, and the two modular buildings to be located between the primary school oval and the football oval itself in that space. The attempt to leverage our existing assets and infrastructure from Market Square failed, and we don't have any coverage of funding within our budget or any indication of support from the government at this stage. We haven't made appropriate representations, nor do we really appreciate what the new Early Learning Centre will look like, because we have still an ongoing engagement with our reference group to find out what things the Early Learning Centre should incorporate. And some that I haven't even thought of, the speech therapy area was something that was new to me, and I've since had some conversations with parents that use that facility. So at this stage, the only site that's available for us to meet the VSBA's timeline of May this year for a decision so that they can start building the infrastructure and delivering it to site is what we call the north site at the primary school. Some interesting facts and figures. The existing Early Learning Centre has an area or a footprint of 1,060 square metres. The car park area has a footprint of 1,043 square metres. Now, that means that we have slightly less area than what we currently have. However, the two modular rooms, 233 place modules, should make a difference in terms of the overall use of the footprint. So that 1,043 square metres could be more than what we need for the next 10 years. Don't know, and that will be subject to some ongoing footprint analysis and examination of the activities once we have some recommendations from the reference group as to other things that we may incorporate. Similarly, the existing ELC may, in fact, play a pivotal role in accommodating some of these other ancillary issues, such as speech therapy, such as other things around maternal care, immunisation, all of those sort of things that may or may not be included in the modules. So to that end, we've landed on a place to be able to maintain a timeline imposed upon us by VSBA of May this year. We've come to the proposition with the assistance of the reference group that the northern site is the most appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Heslop.
So we all know where this has been going round and round and where it's at the moment. So it's been a long process to get this to where we're at now. So thank you to the stakeholder reference group. They've been a fabulous group. There's been lots of good positive impact and I've really enjoyed being part of that reference group. And it's through the stakeholder reference group that we've been able to come to this recommendation. So this recommendation is the one that has the lowest risk of all the options. So by having the lowest risk, we know that we can get this hopefully up and running by 2025, which is where we know we have the demand. So we have the demand for 2025 to roll out this pre-prep building. And we also know that if we delay this project any further, there may be risk that we may lose this project. So by going ahead and, as the VSBA wanted, having a site ready by May so we can roll it out in 2025, we're guaranteed that this project will go forward. And we know we have the demand in St Arnaud, and it's such an important project for parents that work, mums that want to put their kids in pre-prep. We know that at the moment there's a huge demand in St Arnaud in our early learning centre. There's not enough not enough room to accommodate the demand. So this is so important that we get this right and that we do roll this out now. And I know there's been a lot of contention, there's been a lot of debate, and it needs to move forward, because I think we've been debating too long, and we just don't want to risk losing this project. So I'm very, very happy with the recommendation, and I hope that my fellow councillors will also approve this recommendation.
Thank you, councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak?
Yes,
Councillor
Mr.
Gray.
Mayor.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will go along with the recommendation, but I don't necessarily think I feel the council's been railroaded into it by government rules and regulations. But as both my fellow councillors stated, we've had a timeline put upon us that we have to abide by the looks of it. So, so I just wanted to make that statement that I think it's just a bit like the last one. It's a bit too rushed again. So, thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Emerson? No? Councillor Irwin?
Thank you. Look, I agree with everything each councillor said. It is a bit unfortunate that it's a very tight timeline on this, but certainly the worst outcome would be to lose the project. And I thank the committee for their input too. It has been a difficult project, but I think each and every one of us have had the kids in mind, and it is a way forward, but I think it does highlight a project driven by government and not by community has its troubles.
Thank you, councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Emerson?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll be supporting the motion, but I just wanted to add that we've gone through a very long process, a process that didn't get away to a very good start a couple of years ago. We're now in a position where the best outcome we can get immediately is for the modulars to be put at the state school location. That does not, if this motion gets passed, it does not override the motion we passed several months ago, where this council is required by motion to develop an extensive child service, which would include before and after day care. This doesn't do that, so it's not the perfect motion, but it's the one that we need to take, and I'm more than confident with it, to make sure that we get the two modulars on a site at the state school to deal with the 66 odd kids that can't get a go at the moment. It's as simple as that.
Thank you, councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak? If not, I'll put that to the vote. Oh, yes, that's right, sum up. Yes, could I? Thank you, councillor Stasevich.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In summing up, we have been lucky enough to have two modules at 33 places. That came as a consequence of our previous officers' discussions with the Department of Ed and VSBA. That was on the basis that we had, and remember what these modules are for. These modules were purely for 4-year-old kinder. That's it. That's all we were able to do with them. However, because the numbers put up were that we had 35 4-year-old kinder students, we required two 33 module places. That has been very, very beneficial to our community because two modules will allow us to house not only the 4-year-old but also the 3-year-old kinder and a suite of other activities. It is essential that we have these modules built. We cannot pass this opportunity up. However, this progress with an early learning centre that's going to be currently in action at Market Square until we get an integrated facility up at the car park at the north site means that we're going to have two separate locations, which is problematic for our staff in an era when gaining staff is challenging. Certainly headhunting staff from other regions is also problematic. However, it does place greater emphasis upon us to make sure that we all advocate with state government to rattle the purse, if we can, to facilitate this spend on an integrated facility at that site. So we only have one location, which at the end of the day is what the parents that have been talking to me about is what they have been after. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. I'll put that motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 9.3.1 is the Tree and Nature Strip Management Policy and Plan. Could I have a mover, please? Sorry, you have to fast forward quite a few pages.
I might well move the motion. I'm just having trouble getting
It's about 13 or 14 pages down the. Yeah, it's up on the screen as well here.
Oh.
So.
Mr Mayor, I'm happy to move that the council adopts the Tree and Nature Strip Management Policy and Plan. To get the right motion? Yeah.
Thank you to Councillor Irwin.
very happy to second, Mr Mayor. And
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. Councillor Irwin.
I think nothing makes a town stand out more than to see beautiful trees along nature strips and the streets of a town. And I must say that, well, some people like crepe myrtles, but they do stand out when they flower along some of the streets of Stawell here. And I think at both towns, both Stawell and St Arnaud, look very picturesque. St Arnaud's trees are probably a little bit older, perhaps, than Stawell, so it's really nice when they get to a mature age and really stand out and show a town off. So happy with this management plan.
Councillor Emerson.
Nothing further to add other than to say it's a good plan, and I endorse Councillor Irwin's remarks.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Starcevic.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I think the plan has a lot of merit. We've just got to be careful to recognise that there are, as Councillor Irwin mentioned, two distinct areas within the Shire, and we're lucky at St Arnaud within the Carricara ward to have mature trees in our locations. We really want to avoid a one-size-fit-all, and we've had this conversation. Certainly the flowering bushes are quite attractive. They also pose some risks to us in terms of the highway running towards Horsham and having those bushes in front of us so that we can't see the oncoming traffic. So, however, maintenance crews have been there to fix that issue, and we do have to make sure that we have a diverse array of trees, not just shrubs. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Irwin, would you like to sum up?
Nothing further, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. I'll put that motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? That's carried. (9.3.2) Waste and Recycling Exemption Policy. Could I have a mover, please?
I'm happy to move the recommendation that Council approves the Waste and Recycling Exemption Policy.
Thank you, Councillor Heslop. Could I have a seconder, please?
Yes, Mr Mayor. I'll second that, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Grady. Councillor Heslop.
So it's an update on a policy. No major changes have been made to the policy. So the policy identifies and allows exemptions from council waste and recycling services or fees and charges to commercial and industrial premises, properties exempt from council rates, registered charities exemptions from transfer station fees and charges. So there are conditions that do apply, but yeah, just a good policy because it outlines who is exempt and what they have to do to get that exemption.
Thank you, Councillor Heslop. Councillor Grady.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. No, nothing further to add. Councillor Heslop summed that up very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Grady. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Heslop, would you like to sum up?
Nothing further to add.
Thank you very much. I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. (9.3.3) Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Funds, Phase 4, Tranche 2 Projects Approval. Could I have a mover, please?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that Council adopts the proposed projects. Thank you. For the federally funded Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program Phase 4 Tranche 2, those namely being North Park Stall Traffic Treatment, North Park Stall Playground, Stall Airport Precision Approach Path Indicator, PAPI system, Lake Road Roundabout Renewal, Stall Sports and Aquatic Centre Outdoor Pool Covers and Market Square Stage 4 restrooms.
Thank you, Councillor.
I'm happy to second that recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hislop. Councillor Stasevich.
We have been blessed with some $690,000 of some additional funds that were not spent and needed to be spent, I think, before the end of financial year, if I'm not mistaken. Next financial year. So I'm being led by the appropriate knowledgeable one in the corner here. Thank you. To that end, the infrastructure team were able to look into the bag of projects that have got some status in the 10-year plan, and after some discussion, those projects that are listed there are the ones that are going to be secured with the funding available over the next financial year. So I'm pleased to see that that there's some good works that are going to be good infrastructure that's going to be created courtesy of our federal government funding, which is untied. Timely point to note, it would be really useful, and Vaughan will be very happy to hear this. It'll be a timely point to note that the state government and federally funded sources of funds that are untied, to allow us to make our own decisions rather than follow the tune of the state and federal politicians, would be really quite useful. That way we can determine our own direction, our own pathway, instead of being paying the piper. To that end, if anyone from federal or state is watching our special dedicated YouTube channel, they are more than happy to contact our mayor and offer these untied grants. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hislop.
And I do agree, we are blessed to have this funding. So these projects came to us at a council briefing, and we did have quite a lot of debate and quite a lot of discussion at the council briefing, and we have tweaked and changed a few of the projects to what we have now, because we thought the projects that you are seeing now better supported our community's needs. So we did have quite a lot of debate, which was quite good, and we did actually change a few of the projects to get to where we've got to the recommendation now. So I'm more than happy with the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hislop. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Would the mover like to sum up, Councillor Stasevich? Oh, Eddie. Sorry, Kevin, I didn't see you.
Just quickly, look, I think they are very good projects too. We are very happy to have this fund that can be used for our community's needs, and they're very good projects regarding this funding.
Thank you, Councillor Irwin. Would any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Stasevich, would you like to sum up?
Only to say that it was a very good collegiate form of discussion amongst councillors, and we landed on the appropriate projects within the budget available. We now entrust them to our Special Director of Infrastructure to deliver. We have every confidence and faith in you. Thank you, Trent, and thank you, Mr Mayor.
There you go. Thank you, Councillor Stasevich. I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? That is carried. 9.4.1 is our event policy. It's a reviewed event policy. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Stasevich.
I feel like a jack in the box today.
You are.
The recommendation is that Council adopts the reviewed events policy, subject to the inclusion of new events in one of the 3 tranches recommended by the policy.
Thank you, Councillor. Seconder.
Happy to second that motion, Mr Mayor.
Right. Councillor Stasevich.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, we're fortunate to have an events policy because really one of the key drivers within our Shire for tourism are events. Last weekend we saw the Grape Escape. The weekend before we saw the athletics and aquatic sports at Stawell. So that was a profound impact where we had tens of thousands of people visiting the Shire, which is really critical to the Shire's well-being. The overall philosophy is of homegrown events wherever possible, with only some input directly from council for larger projects that may require far more than what volunteers can offer. I mentioned the two standout events that are supported by council, both in terms of financial and resource support. There are a number of other activities, and our Director of Community and Prosperity, thank you, I lose track of titles, sorry, informed us today that there were several hundred events across the Shire over the past 9 months. Yep. Quarter. Wow, okay, so over a couple of hundred events over the last quarter. This is an area that will continue to grow, and we are quite lucky in the fact that we have a significant area that includes Grampians Shire all the way through to the northern end of the Shire at Karakara and Karakara National Park. So we need to take full advantage of those natural assets. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Irwin.
I think that's been summed up very well. Yes, we are very fortunate to have some really strong, long-running events within the Shire, and it makes a heck of a difference, I can tell you.
That's right. Councillor Stasevich, would you like to sum up?
I think it's covered the events policy well. Thank you.
Sorry, I forgot the other speakers. Would any other councillor wish to speak? If not, yes, Councillor Emerson.
Thank you. I'd just like to point out that the amount of work that goes into these events, and when I look at the list of legislation requirements, I think it's reasonable to point out all of these things have got to be looked at and assessed, and I commend our people, particularly Justine, who goes through all this process. Gender equality, privacy and data protection, Charter of Human Rights, environmental protection, local government requirements, Food Act, public health, planning, liquor, goes on and on and on. There's a million regulations. Congratulations, well done. The two major events have been sensational.
Yeah, here. Right. You're okay to not to sum up now? You've done it. Yes, thank you. I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. 9.4.2 is the Instrument of Delegation update. There's been a few small changes here which are listed. Could I have a mover, please?
Mr Mayor, I'll give Councillor Stasevich a bit of a spell. A recommendation, S6, Instrument of Delegation from Council to members of Council staff. In the exercising of their powers conferred by legislation referred to in the attached Instrument of Delegation, Council resolves that 1. There be a delegate to the members of Council staff holding, acting in and or performing the duties of the office or positions referred to in the attached Instrument of Delegation, to members of Council staff, the powers, duties and functions set out in that instrument, subject to the conditions and limitations specified in that instrument. Point 2. The instrument comes into force immediately the instrument is signed. Point 3. On the coming into force of the instrument, all precision... No.
Should say previous.
Yeah.
Yeah. All previous delegations.
All...
not precious delegations.
It would be previous.
Previous.
I didn't think of that, Precious. It didn't sound right anyway. Delegations to members of council staff other than the Chief Executive Officer are revoked, and the duties and functions set out in the instrument must be performed, and the powers set out in the instrument must be executed in accordance with the guidelines or policies of council that it may from time to time adopt. I'll move that with that slight amendment.
Right, and may I have a seconder?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I second that.
Thank you, Councillor Grady. Councillor Irwin.
Look, this is a thing we do from time to time. The instrument of delegation allows the staff to actually perform their role. So there's been some minor changes, and I think this is just part of the process.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Grady.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I think Councillor Irwin summed it up. These are some of the things we have to do to keep the council running efficiently, so I support it. Thank you.
Would any other councillor wish to speak? Would the mover like to sum up, Councillor Irwin?
Nothing further, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll put that motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? That's carried. Are there any notices of motion or rescission? Reports from councillors and committees. I'll start with Councillor Emerson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. You caught me just a little bit unaware there for a minute.
Well, it's all right, we've got time.
You'll just have to bear with me. I'm usually down the list when it comes to this. Yeah, it's been a busy month. On the 1st of April, which was Easter Monday, believe it or not, I'd done 17 interviews on the radio in regard to the weather and the store gift. Things changed during the day, I might add, on that day. On the 4th of April, I attended an MAV board meeting as a director of the board. That was a 2-day meeting, so we were there most of Thursday and Friday. A bit of my time this month was taken up with interviewing people for the position of Executive Officer for the Store Gift Event Management Board, a very important position. We had 58 applications and we got it down to interviewing 7 or 8 in the end, and we successfully got a person to take on that position. Strategic planning meetings on another day. Northern Grampians Shire transmission forums on Wednesday of each month. I attended them along with some of my fellow councillors. Went to Yarra Ambiac to hear a discussion on code of conduct and the upcoming elections. Budget briefings started in April, so there was 2 or 3 of them. Store Gift Event Management Board had 2 or 3 meetings during April. MAV discrimination, bullying and harassment prevention discussion happened on the 18th of April. Drop-in centre at the Town Hall in regard to the transmission lines. Halls Gap Community Barbecue. Gee, it just goes on and on. I think I've done more than I thought I did, to be honest. Thanks.
Excellent, thank you. Councillor Stasevich.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We had the Sonata Debutante Ball that was a raging success. We had 10 couples attend. It shows the interest within the community that the place has booked out, and I'm happy to. And as per usual, I've done my normal Teams where I don't have my microphone switched on. Go figure. Thank you for those opposite for reminding me of my inability to communicate effectively. Trenton, you'll be extraordinarily happy to hear that the elevator was used 15 times. which is an extraordinary usage. Now that's something that is a direct result of the repairs and communications established within the elevator, and now we've got 3 elevators in town, 2 at the hospital and 1 at Town Hall. Will wonders never cease? So we can actually support a contract now for maintenance.
The elevator city of the Northern Grampians Shire.
Indeed, we have 1 traffic light and 3 elevators. I mean, we're blessed.
Moving right along.
We're absolutely blessed. As per usual, we have a monthly meeting at SCAN, which is the Sonata Community Action Network. There were a number of issues that came out of that meeting that have been passed on through the internal council area, through internal council process through the merit scheme. But a couple of them are the desire for a careers expo. There was a call by some of the businesses in town to have a careers expo, not dissimilar to the ones that are held along the Loddon area, Loddon Campaspe, where school students can be exposed to the various careers and even have a day or 2 or 3 secondment to those businesses. So that's something that we'll carry forward with Justine at some later date. It's an interesting idea. What it looks like is yet to be decided. We had a couple of meetings with the Early Learning Centre reference group, and they've departed now, but it's really incumbent upon that group now to focus on what's going to be included in the building. Now that we've got a site, it's what's inside, what we can do to cater for families that we now need to focus on. And that's an ongoing thing, so Councillor Heslop and I will be involved with Justine and her team and the community members going on to probably the back end of this year, I suppose. So looking forward to hearing some of those things that are going to be coming out. Martha Haylett, compliments to Martha Haylett for organising a meeting on behalf of the Sunraysia Highway Improvement Committee, which this council, along with 5 other councils, has representation. Martha was able to arrange a meeting with Minister Horn regarding funding. So we took a slightly different, an alternative approach, which I'm sure entertained some of our council officers here, where we offered the Minister solutions rather than just continually bombarding her with problems. Interestingly, the problems are going to roost with the councils rather than the Minister, but we did get some positive response from the Minister about the concept of coming to her with solutions. We'll see where that takes us, and it's a story that will unfold, because really the model of this needs to be developed, and the Minister did say that, well, she did offer instruction to her staff to progress the thinking around that model. To the separate side, courtesy of Barry Batters, Barry raised the issue with at the local National Party meeting. He moved a motion that the Teddington Reservoir issue be resolved with Councillor Demopoulos, with Minister Demopoulos. And Emma Keeley has reached out and sought any letters that we as council have sent through. So courtesy of our officers, we've sent through copies of the letters from previous mayor, the current mayor, to the Minister's office, Minister Stitt and Minister Demopoulos, both ministers, and also Minister Stitt's response to the council about taking it up with Parks Vic. The challenge that we have with that particular issue is that Parks Vic are tasked with delivering an outcome, not deciding policy. So we need to keep on hammering the door with the Minister. And to that end, Martha Haylett has suggested that we might be able to have a meeting with the relevant Minister Demopoulos in June, but I'm not going to lock down a time because she hasn't given me a time, so she's still got to make her magic happen. We had a fairly significant discussion, community information sharing event down at Natty Alec regarding the wind farm proposal at Natty Alec, all the way through from Avoca, Natty Alec, out to the western edge of Stuart Mill. That was hosted by one of Barry's sons, Luke Batters, and his wife, Hayley, and there was a lot of information. Peter Knights was there from the financial side, Gerard Feeney was there from transmission, Barry was there regarding insurance, and a local farmer from Lansborough, Zoe Crouch. Zoe Crouch was there as well. It's the age thing, it's my date of birth, my memory's going. Finally, we've had conversations with members of the Philippine community. Rosa and Mary Jane are very keen to showcase their culture to the people of St Arnaud, and that's exciting. Certainly we are yet to engage with our council officers, reaching out to them. We're finally getting some times around when Rosa and Mary Jane will be available. They're the spokespeople for the community there. And there's an extensive community here at Stawell, so there's going to be some cross-pollination of concepts as well. But that concept really is going to gather momentum over the next couple of months within St Arnaud. So I, for one, am very keen to learn about their culture, because it's something I haven't been exposed to personally. Most of my activities are Asian rather than the East Asia side of things. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Irwin.
I'll be much quicker. I'm pleased to see that you feel uplifted, Councillor Ostazovic. I think Councillor Emerson's mentioned a few that we've already gone to: transmission, the local government forum, and the community post barbecue out at Halls Gap for post the fires. Also had the audit and risk committee, and a bit of a first, the business after hours was held, and I think that was highly successful. So well done to organise that. Seemed to go very well. Had a Western Highway Action Committee meeting. The long saga of trying to get a road first repaired and then built. It'll be interesting to see how it progresses, or if it does progress. Obviously the Anzac Day, which was very well covered by the community. There were very, very good numbers at both St Arnaud, Great Western, Stawell, and wherever else it was, Halls Gap. So well done to everyone who supported it. And obviously last weekend we've had a few GGE, Grampians Grape Escape meetings, and we had a highly successful Grampians Grape Escape over the weekend. I feel a bit jet lagged today, but how quickly you can have a meeting with the Minister at the Stawell Easter gift. I did ask the Minister to come up, Demopoulos, and he graciously did, and he was very excited about the event and made some very, very positive comments about the event. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Heslop.
I'm probably going to repeat what a few other councillors have said. I'll keep mine quite brief as well. But I have enjoyed our budget briefing sessions. We've had a lot of discussions. We've actually changed a few projects around, and we've tried to look at projects that support community needs. So been quite intensive, the budget briefing sessions, as budgeting always is, but I feel like we've had some really good conversations. Business After Hours, also attended that, and it was a really good, well-attended event. It was great networking, chatting to people, and it was highly successful, and we will continue running those and hopefully extend them to St Arnaud. Our first one was in Stawell, and as I said, it was really, really good, but we are looking to extend them in St Arnaud because it was such an successful night. It was well attended, and it was just great networking. And also Anzac Day went to St Arnaud early morning and Stawell, and great crowds. It was just great to see so many people get out and support such a fantastic day. And also St Arnaud Early Years Project Stakeholder Reference Group. We've had a few meetings, a few phone calls and a few emails and a few discussions regarding that.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Grady.
Yes, Mr Mayor, just been quite a few of the meetings other councillors have spoken about, but a couple of others I went to was the first AGM of the neighbourhood house out at Halls Gap. Had a sort of a luncheon meeting, and it was went over really well. A lot of enthusiastic people out there looking to keep the project going. Took a bit of getting off the ground, but it's going really well now. Anzac Day at Halls Gap was another good one, the dawn service, and then good crowd there, and Great Western was a huge crowd, and also stalled. Attended the Great Western Futures Committee meeting, and they'll be very happy. We talked about the Memorial Park plan, and that went through council today, so I'll be down there in another couple of weeks, so that'll be excellent. Yeah, and basically Easter and just the other shows that are going on around the Shire for this month have been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll keep mine really brief. Starting off with Easter Monday, which of course was flood zone down at Central Park, but it did all drain away very quickly. And before around the middle of the day, I went out with Minister Demopoulos out to Pomona because he wanted to see up close the damage that had been created, and we had a guided tour by the CFA. They were really good. Given it was a public holiday, they all donned their uniforms and met us there, and we had a tour around there, and that's when it started raining. And it rained all the way back, and when we got back, everyone was wet and everything was soaked, and that was that. Following that, we had a session that Councillor Emerson referred to, which was to do with the upcoming elections and guidance around the rules and regulations leading up to the elections, what you are and you're not allowed to do. That was hosted by Maddox Lawyers. On the way back, it was a long day, and it's quite a long way up to Warwicknabeal. It was a long day, and on the way back we thought it would be nice because it was warm and we were all thirsty. If in one of the little townships we went through we could stop at one of the pubs and have a beer. But alas, every single township and every single pub was closed. So even though it was a Friday. So that was that. We had a big week on budget, which is always interesting, and a hell of a lot of work goes into the preparation of all of that by the team. I attended a Halls Gap community barbecue, which was put together by us in order to bring all of the community together. That so many people that have lost so much and been through so much. That was a great event. Also, our wonderful new Central Park female-friendly club room renovation and the spectacular mural. For those of you that haven't seen the mural, it really is something, especially at night with the lights on. It's amazing. And I did a couple of interviews on the mural on the ABC. Anzac Day was a huge success in Stawell. We had such a lot of people. They were saying to me that it's the biggest they've ever seen there ever, and so it must have been in excess of 400 people, because I was told that when it was 300 and something, that was the biggest ever. So I did the 6 a.m. and then I did the 11 a.m. and that was fantastic. And of course, this past weekend, I was out at Halls Gap at the Grampians Grape Escape, and now we're talking numbers. Over 8,000 people went to the Grampians Grape Escape, and the atmosphere was spectacular. It was absolutely, yes, thank you, Councillor Irwin. It was an event to be remembered, and I think it's quite a regal occasion, that one. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know that everyone that was there thoroughly enjoyed it as well. Thank you. All right, can we have a resolution that these reports from councillors be accepted?
Yes, Mr Mayor, happy to move that the council reports be noted.
Could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. All in favour? Carried. All right, is there any urgent business? No urgent business. All right, public question time. I have a few questions here. The first one I've got is from Veronica Monaghan. Is Veronica Monaghan here with us today? No. No, I've got a Monaghan here. I know I've got yours here, and you're definitely on my list. Don't worry. I'll just deal with this one first. All right. Veronica Monaghan is from 6 Berg Street in Stawell. Her question is, since the Northern Grampians Shire Council awarded a new lease to the Grampians Gate Caravan Park, that's in the street where she lives, at 2 Berg Street, Stawell, many changes have been made. Did you know that according to their terms and conditions, the company uses hidden and visible video and audio surveillance? They collect biometric data such as fingerprints, palm prints, and a person's facial structure and retina or a person's voice. They may conduct drug or alcohol testing, and they may conduct bag searches. I wasn't aware of these things. Are you also aware that some accommodation options are at budget prices designed for workers, travellers and backpackers, but no one is allowed to stay longer than 30 days? On their website it was stated that they would prefer not to open over Easter, as they would lose money with public holiday wages and employing 24-hour-a-day security. Exteriors of buildings have been painted black, together with some interiors. Many containers have been placed as barriers to stop camping, while issues with the CFA are sorted out. Is Council intending to do anything about these concerns from park neighbours as well as community members? So that's that one. Cam, would you like to read your response to that question?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Council acknowledges your correspondence regarding the Stawell Grampians Gate Caravan Park, which trades as Stawell C&C Park. It is important to understand the relationship that exists between the parties. Stawell C&C Park is an independent, privately owned business. The land on which the business operates is Crown land, for which Council is responsible as a committee of management in accordance with the Crown Land Reserves Act 1978. Council's relationship with the operator of Stawell C&C Park is governed by a formal lease. The Stawell C&C Park is not managed on Council's behalf. This means that the business policies and park rules are largely outside the purview of Council's authority. In Victoria, park operators are regulated by the Residential Tenancies Act 1997, the Residential Tenancies Caravan Parks and Movable Dwellings Registration and Standards Regulations 2010, the Planning and Environment Act 1987 and the Northern Grampians Planning Scheme. And any rules relating to the use, enjoyment, control and management of the park must be consistent with this legislation. Your questions touch on numerous points of concern that Council will look at, but from the perspective of landlord pursuant to the lease and separately as the local planning authority. In the meantime, if you have specific concerns, Council encourages you to address them directly with the park operator. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I have another question here from Ruth.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, would we be replying to that in...
Yes, we will. That answer that was just read out by Cam will be sent through to Veronica Monaghan of 9 Berg Street in Stawell. There's one more on these questions that we see. Ruth DeBornick. Is Ruth DeBornick here? Hi, Ruth. Would you like to read your question or would you like me to read it? Okay, I'll do that. Thank you. Okay, so it's re the Upper Teddington Dam. Has there been any response to Mayor Kevin Irwin's letter from March the 15th, 2023 to the Minister for Environment asking for a meeting with the Minister? If there has been a meeting, what has the Minister's response been? So I've got a... You happy to cover it?
Yes. Look, in terms of your first two questions, Ruth, the first one about the response from the Minister for the Environment, 15th of March, yes, there has been a reply. 10th of April, Minister Stitt wrote back on the 10th of April, and just to expand what's in the written response, that she covered 3 points. First of all, she made it clear that the government has decided to decommission the upper reservoir, basically around risk, and they did consider the costs around upgrade and maintenance, but they felt that the risks outweighed making a decision to upgrade and retain the reservoir. The second point she made is that the state government have actually made a decision in their budget 22-23 to decommission the reservoir over 3 years, and they're currently in the planning design phase. And the third point she made around Mayor Irwin's point in his letter was around the advocacy to reuse the reservoir as part of the Southern Wimmera and North East Pyrenees Rural Water Scheme. She thought that was worthy of discussion, and there has been discussion with GWN, but she made the point clear that parks are not a water authority, and I think that sends a message that they didn't want to be involved in that, and unless GWN took it over, they were not going to go down that route. So that was the point she made. In terms of your second question, has there been a meeting with the Minister? The answer is no. Minister Stitt didn't meet with us, but she did refer Regional Director Chris Corbell to meet, and he did meet Councillor Ostashevich and the community and some of my staff. I didn't meet with him. However, he made it very clear that they follow orders, and the state government have decided to put it in the budget, and it wasn't his position to override or go against that, and so they are basically following the decommissioning, and until they get different orders, if you like, from the Minister or the government, they were going to continue on, so that was his point. In terms of meeting with the Minister, as Councillor Stasevich has mentioned, Martha Howlett, MP Ripon, is going to organise a meeting with Minister Demopoulos, who seems to spend a lot of time in these parts, which is great, and hopefully we can continue to advocate for the retention of the reservoirs. So that's about the long and the short of it, Mr Mayor.
Thank you for that. That response will be sent through.
Yes.
It'll be sent through to you, Ruth, posted through to you, so you've got it exactly to refer to, rather than trying to memorise it. Now, one last question here, which was put in today from Daniel Monaghan. That's you over there, Daniel, isn't it? Would you like to read the question, or are you happy for me to read it?
Yeah, you can read it and I'll just speak to it.
Okay, that's fine. If you'd like to come up, you can sit in the end chair up there, and I'll just quickly read it. It's got to do with community safety at the skate park. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can a video security be extended from the gym to the skate park? Question number one. And then the second question is of the safe use of the dog area at night at the park there, where the dog walking area is. Some type of lighting systems for dog park and parking. So is that a possibility? I'll get Trent and Fiddle to talk to that. I'll pass that over.
I can speak to that, Mr Mayor.
Thank you.
So with regards to CCTV at the skate park, the short answer is yes, it could happen. It's a matter of us working through it. It's not something we've explored before, but we will have to do some investigation around what's required, how it'll work, and there's some policy work around privacy in public spaces with CCTV. So we'll have to work through some of that, but we haven't looked at it to date, but we can look at it. So we can commit to looking at it. With regards to lighting at the dog park, it's not something I believe that's on our master plan for North Park. But again, public spaces, this community safety is multifaceted. Lighting, CCTV, social surveillance, all those things come into play. So we can definitely look at what it will take to get some lighting in the dog park, to what extent, and what it would cost, and then we can potentially seek to put that in the budget if deemed necessary. So hope that answers your question.
It partially does. Considering, Mayor and councillors and general public, considering the current situation with security for people of all sexes and use of park and trying to make these places open, there's been people that have suggested to me that the security at skate park would help because it's very unbalanced. It's just a boys' fest up there. And I'm not saying that security cameras there are going to fix that, but if there is an incident after the fact, considering our young and vulnerable people in community are there, and they are there a lot, and in the past we've had people come into town with selling stuff, and if we have antisocial behaviour, at least we'll have the records. Now, over the few years that I was on the committee to help get the skate park designed and built, that had been something that we'd put in all the time along. I'm surprised that this is the first you've heard of plugging the security into the 7-day system that we have at the gymnasium, because that had been mentioned all the way along, in quite a few of our meetings. To find out that that hadn't happened was a bit of a shock. And the other thing was just a few of the women around town that walk dogs were finding it uncomfortable going to the dog parks at night, taking the dogs out with the cars and stuff, and feeling, well, they work a real job and it gets dark early, and they would like, especially down here at the velodrome, when they come out there going to and from their cars. That was...
Is there any lighting at all down there at night?
Not for getting the dogs out and going. There's nothing over at the track too, whether they could have something... winter's winter, but just to make life a little safer for people that are working a job that doesn't allow them to access these areas unless it's through daylight. That was my only just safety concerns for community. That was it.
Thank you. We'll take that on board, won't we, Trenton?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for those concerns. Appreciate it, and we'll give you a written response.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. All right, now I need a motion to move in camera into closed council. Councillor Emerson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Happy to move a motion that we move into closed council to discuss some confidential matters.
Thank you. And
Happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Councillor. All in favour? Carried. Right, could I please clear the public gallery? You're all welcome to come back in after if you're still around. But
Second it.
Someone there?
You need to stand by the heater in here. All right, they're being...
Rightio, thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm pleased to report on the outcomes of the closed council meeting. 14.1, the council awards contract C6 2023-24 provision of waste and recycling services to Wimmera Mallee Waste Management Pty Limited for their submitted unit rates. And 14.2, that council approves joining the Victorian Energy Collaboration and authorises the CEO to sign the retail electricity supply agreement known as the RESA with Red Energy, which is for a contract period of 5.5 years commencing 1st of July 2024 and concluding 31st of December 2030 with an option for an extension by mutual agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. No further business. I'll declare the meeting closed at 2:22.